If you own a Nintendo Switch and you're looking for games to play solo, you're in the right place. I put together a list of the 20 best single-player experiences on the Switch right now. Let's get into it. Final Fantasy Tactics: The Ivalice Chronicles is a tactical RPG that dropped on Switch in late 2025, and it's the remaster fans waited decades for. You play as Ramza Beowulf, a young noble caught in a political war over who controls the throne of Ivalice. The story goes deep: betrayal, class conflict, religious corruption. It's heavy stuff told really well. Battles happen on 3D grid-based maps where terrain height and positioning actually matter. You manage a party, assign jobs like Black Mage, Dragoon, or Monk, and mix abilities across classes to build your own strategy. The job system alone has hundreds of ability combinations to experiment with. The remaster comes in two modes: Enhanced, with updated visuals and full voice acting, and Classic, that keeps the original 1997 look. There's even a new, easier difficulty setting for newcomers. If you love strategy and deep storytelling, this one rewards every hour you put in.
You can count on me.
Hades is a roguelike dungeon crawler where you play as Zagreus, the son of Hades himself, trying to escape the underworld. Every run, you fight through procedurally generated chambers, using fast, fluid combat with weapons that feel completely different from each other. A sword, a bow, fists, a gun, a spear, a shield. Each run, you collect boons, which are power upgrades gifted by Greek gods like Zeus, Poseidon, or Athena, and each god has a different playstyle they push you toward. The genius of Hades is that dying isn't a failure, it actually progresses the story. You learn more about the world and characters every time you come back. The writing is sharp, the voice acting is top tier, and the relationships you build with NPCs between runs feel genuinely meaningful. No two runs feel the same thanks to the randomized boon combinations. It's one of those games you'll say, one more run to, and suddenly it's 2 AM. Absolutely essential on Switch. Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze is a 2D platformer that originally launched on Wii U and got a second life on Switch, and it absolutely deserved it. You play as DK, trying to retake Kong Island from a Viking animal army called the Snowmads, who've frozen everything over. The level design is some of the best in any platformer, period. Each world has its own theme: underwater stages, minecarts, jungle, savanna, and every single level feels handcrafted. You can bring along buddy characters like Dixie Kong and Cranky Kong, each adding their own mechanic. Dixie gives you a hover float, Cranky pogo jumps on enemies. The game is challenging but never unfair, and on Switch there's a funky mode that makes it more accessible, with Funky Kong having extra health and abilities. The pixel art and animation are gorgeous, and the soundtrack by David Wise is legitimately one of gaming's best. It's a pure, satisfying platformer from start to finish. Super Mario 3D World is a hybrid Mario. Not fully 2D, not fully open world, but a linear 3D platformer with a fixed camera that feels like a beautiful middle ground. You pick from Mario, Luigi, Peach, or Toad, each with slightly different stats, and run through increasingly creative levels collecting stars and power stars. The cat suit is the star power-up here. It lets you climb walls and pounce on enemies. Levels get imaginative fast, from platforms on a giant pinball table to stages inside a music box. But the real star of this Switch package is Bowser's Fury, a standalone bonus mode that is genuinely something new. It's an open island world where Bowser periodically goes into a rampage mode, and rain falls you have to use Giga Cat Mario to fight him back. It's short but dense, and feels like a preview of something bigger. The main game is polished and endlessly fun, and Bowser's Fury gives you a taste of open-world Mario in a compact form. Dragon Quest XI's is a classic JRPG, and one of the most welcoming games in the genre. You play as the Luminary, a hero prophesized to save the world, who ends up being blamed for a catastrophe instead, and has to clear his name while uncovering the truth about his origin. The story starts traditionally, but slowly builds into something genuinely epic. Combat is turn-based. You and your party line up against enemies, pick actions from menus, and manage skills and spells across a character progression system. It's comfortable and approachable for newcomers, and satisfying for veterans. The Switch version, Definitive Edition, adds a retro 2D mode where you can play the entire game in a 16-bit style, fully orchestrated music, extra story arcs for every companion character, and a new Japanese voice option. The companion stories in particular are highlights. Some party members have arcs that are genuinely emotional and memorable. NieR Automata on Switch is one of those ports nobody expected to work this well. You play as 2B, an android soldier sent to reclaim Earth from machines that drove humanity to the moon. The action combat is fast and stylish. You juggle light attacks, heavy attacks, dodge, and a floating pod that shoots projectiles and casts abilities. But NieR is really about what happens when the story shifts on you. The game has multiple playthroughs baked in, each recontextualizing everything you've seen before. Characters you love get challenged, the world gets darker, and the questions the game asks about consciousness, purpose, and what it means to be alive stick with you long after the credits roll. And yes, you need to see all the endings. The music is absolutely stunning. The Switch version includes all DLC, including the 3C, 3C, 1D, 11, 944, 0927 pack, with extra arena content and costumes. Performance is solid in handheld mode. Fire Emblem Three Houses is a tactical RPG set at the Garreg Mach Officers Academy, where you take the role of a professor leading one of three noble student houses, the Black Eagles, Blue Lions, or Golden Deer. The structure is split between life at the academy, teaching students, building relationships, exploring the monastery, and turn-based tactical battles on a grid. You recruit students from rival houses, train their stats and skills, and take them into battle. The story is where this game shines. Each house tells the same war from a completely different angle, and the revelations that come in the second half of each route are genuinely shocking. Characters you grow attached to during school days end up on opposite sides of a brutal conflict. The monastery life in between battles gives the game a rhythm that feels completely its own in the series. Xenoblade Chronicles 3 is a massive JRPG set on a world where two nations, Keves and Agnes, are locked in endless war, and soldiers only live for 10 years before a ritual harvests their life force. You follow Noah and Mio, soldiers from opposing sides who end up working together after a strange event links their fates. The real-time combat system is layered. You control Noah directly while 5 AI companions act on their own. You cycle through roles, chain party attacks called chain attacks for massive damage, and manage a system called Ouroboros, where 2 characters merge into a powerful giant form for a limited time. The depth builds gradually and feels earned. The world is enormous and densely packed with quests, lore, and side content that fleshes out how this grim society actually works. The story goes from war drama to something far more philosophical and emotional.
Hear that, Noah?
Pokémon Legends Arceus broke from the traditional Pokémon formula and turned it into something fresh. You're sent back to ancient Hisui, the region that will one day become Sinnoh, and tasked with completing the first ever Pokédex. Instead of gym battles, the focus is on researching Pokémon in the wild. You sneak through tall grass, observe their behaviors, and catch them by throwing Pokéballs directly from the field. No random encounter menu. Pokémon now react to you in the overworld. Aggressive ones will attack. Timid ones will flee. Battles still happen, but they're snappier, with an agile and strong style system letting you trade power for speed or stack extra turns. Bosses, called noble Pokémon, act as major encounters, where you dodge and throw calming bombs before weakening them. The game isn't technically polished by any standard, but the gameplay loop is genuinely addictive, and the shift in tone, a grittier, mystery-driven world, gives Pokémon a different energy that felt long overdue. Super Mario Bros. Wonder is the freshest 2D Mario has felt in a very long time. Set in the Flower Kingdom, the game introduces Wonder Flowers collectibles hidden in each level that trigger wild transformations. A level might suddenly flood, pipes might come alive and chase you, or Mario might turn into a Goomba. Every single Wonder Flower does something completely different, and the surprises keep coming right to the end. The game has a huge roster of playable characters: Mario, Luigi, Peach, Daisy, the Toads, and Yoshi's and Yoshi, and Nabbit are invincible options for players who want to just enjoy the ride. Controls feel incredibly precise. There are a ton of hidden exits and secret worlds, and the badge system adds optional gameplay modifiers like a floaty jump or auto-running that you can swap between levels. The visual style is expressive and full of life. Characters have real facial animations, and the whole thing looks like a moving cartoon.
What's that? Wonderful!
Dead Cells is a roguelike action game where you play as a reanimated corpse exploring a decaying castle that's different every time you run through it. Combat is aggressive and satisfying. You chain melee weapons, ranged weapons, and deployable traps, and the game rewards pressure and momentum. Parrying, dodging, and chaining kills to keep your health up are all skills you genuinely develop over time. When you die, you keep permanent upgrades called cells that unlock new weapons, mutations, and passive abilities for future runs. The weapon variety is wild. There are dozens of weapons with completely different mechanics, and the mutation system lets you build synergies that can feel broken in the best way. Discovering a powerful combo and steamrolling a run you were struggling with is endlessly satisfying. Boss cells add extra difficulty layers for veterans, and DLC has added even more biomes and content over the years. Metroid Prime Remastered is the return of one of the best first-person exploration games ever made, now rebuilt with a level of visual polish that's genuinely stunning for a Switch title. You play as Samus Aran, a bounty hunter stranded on the alien planet Talon 4 after a space pirate attack. There are no quest markers, no mission list, just you, your power suit, and a world full of secrets to uncover. The game is about navigating interconnected environments, scanning everything to piece together the planet's history through logs and enemy data, and gradually unlocking new abilities: the grapple beam, gravity suit, thermal visor, that open up previously inaccessible areas. Combat is precise and deliberate. Enemies have weak points, and the first-person lock-on system keeps battles feeling readable. The atmosphere is incredible. Talon 4 feels genuinely alien and ancient. The remaster preserves everything that made the original a classic, while bringing it up to a modern standard.
Villainous space pirates. Making use of 4
Hades 2 takes everything from the first game and builds something bigger, deeper, and just as compulsively playable. You play as Melinoe, sister of Zagreus and princess of the underworld, on a mission to defeat the Titan Kronos, who has captured Hades. The tone is noticeably darker, and the cast of gods and NPCs is expanded significantly. The boon system returns, but with new mechanics: hexes, which are powerful activated abilities tied to Arcana cards you equip on a tarot-style board. There are more weapons, more biomes, and 2 distinct route paths through the underworld with different bosses. The narrative context builds across runs just like the first game, with each death revealing new dialogue and story beats. Supergiant kept the core feel fluid, responsive, aggressively replayable, but added enough new systems that it genuinely feels like a bigger game, not just more content. Super Mario Odyssey is the gold standard for 3D collectathon platformers. Mario teams up with Cappy, a sentient hat, and travels through diverse kingdoms to rescue Peach from Bowser's forced wedding. Cappy lets you possess enemies and objects, control a bullet bill to fly across gaps, inhabit a T-Rex and stomp everything, or take over a frog and leap to previously unreachable areas. The capture mechanic makes each kingdom feel like a puzzle, where you're figuring out which enemy or object holds the key to a tricky moon. Moons, the collectibles replacing stars, are hidden everywhere, and the density of clever secrets packed into each kingdom is incredible. The game nails that feeling of discovery. Stumbling onto a hidden moon in an unexpected place never gets old. Postgame is substantial too. The endgame unlocks a flood of extra moons and a massive bonus kingdom. Movement itself feels incredible, with precise controls and a wide variety of tricks. Unicorn Overlord is a tactical RPG from Vanillaware, the studio behind 13 Sentinels, and it's one of the most satisfying strategy games on Switch. You play as Prince Elaine, fighting to reclaim his kingdom from a military general who staged a coup with the power of a corrupted angel. The war map is real-time. You move unit squads across the overworld, capture towns, and engage enemy formations. But the actual combat is handled through a configurable auto-battle system. You set up attack orders, priorities, and item usage for each character before sending them into fights that play out based on your preset tactics. It sounds hands-off, but the depth of squad building and the huge roster of unit classes makes it endlessly engaging to optimize. Towns you liberate give you resources and story moments. The game has a warm, storybook visual style, and a grand but grounded narrative about war, loyalty, and what it costs to reclaim what was lost.
I shall protect you! Does this suit you?
Ready yourself!
Super Mario Galaxy and its sequel are two of the greatest platformers ever made, and getting both on Switch via Super Mario 3D All-Stars was a dream for anyone who missed them on Wii. In Galaxy, Mario travels through space collecting Power Stars to restore Princess Peach and defeat Bowser. The twist is, gravity planets have their own pull, and you run across curved surfaces, launch between planetoids, and constantly reorient your understanding of up. Each galaxy is a set of small, focused levels built around one creative idea: an ice planet, a lava world, a ghost ship, and the variety never lets up. Galaxy 2 takes that foundation and doubles down, introducing Yoshi as a rideable companion and delivering some of the most inventive level design Nintendo has ever made. The orchestrated soundtrack is legendary. Both games hold up beautifully, and playing them in handheld with motion controls optional makes the experience better than ever. Astral Chain is an action game from Platinum Games, the studio behind Bayonetta, set in a future city called the Ark, the last human settlement on Earth after dimensional rifts began unleashing alien creatures called Chimera. You play as a police officer in a special unit that can bind a captured Chimera, called a Legion, to themselves using an Astral Chain. The combat is a dual control system. You fight in real time, while also directing your Legion separately, chaining the two together to pin enemies, flank them, and perform synchronized attacks. Each Legion type has a different function. One is a sword fighter, one shoots, one is a beast that can run across walls. Outside combat, the game is part detective investigation, gathering evidence, scanning crime scenes, questioning witnesses, and part action brawler. The city has side quests, collectibles, and plenty of story to dig into. Visually, it's one of the most distinctive-looking games on Switch. Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door is a beloved RPG that returned to Switch in 2024 with a full remake, and it's better than ever. Mario travels to Rogueport, a shady port town, chasing a treasure map that leads to a legendary door sealed for 1,000 years. The world is built on the paper aesthetic. Everything folds, tears, and flips like it's made from cardboard. And the game leans into this constantly with visual gags and puzzles. Combat is turn-based, but active U time button presses to boost attacks and block damage. And Mario's partners each have unique abilities. The crowd in the battle arena reacts to your performance and can be manipulated for bonus effects. The story has a mystery structure. Each chapter sends you to a new location, chasing a crystal star, and the cast of villains and allies is packed with personality. The remake adds updated visuals and music, quality of life improvements, and some new dialogue. Kirby and the Forgotten Land is the first fully 3D Kirby game, and it absolutely nails it. You play as Kirby, waking up in a post-apocalyptic world that looks like an abandoned human civilization, malls, theme parks, stadiums, now overtaken by nature, and inhabited by a beast army that's kidnapped the Waddle Dees. Gameplay is classic Kirby: swallow enemies to copy their abilities, like fire, ice, tornado, or hammer, but in full 3D environments with momentum and depth. The new Mouthful mode is a highlight. Kirby inhales large objects like cars, vending machines, or traffic cones, and uses them to solve puzzles and fight. Each stage is full of hidden collectibles and optional challenge rooms, and between stages, you upgrade abilities using rare materials. The game is approachable enough for anyone, but has optional hard modes and secret levels that offer real challenge. Visually, it's stunning and colorful. The story has a surprisingly emotional climax that catches you off guard. The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild is one of those rare games that genuinely changes what you think an open world can be. You play as Link, waking up with no memory after a 100-year sleep, in a Hyrule that Calamity Ganon has already destroyed. There is no handholding, no waypoint telling you where to go. You climb any surface, glide anywhere, cook ingredients for stat boosts, and approach every problem, combat, puzzle, traversal, however you want. The physics and chemistry systems mean fire spreads, metal conducts lightning, objects float, and the world reacts to your creativity. Shrines replace traditional dungeons with compact puzzle rooms that teach mechanics and reward exploration. The 4 Divine Beast dungeons are full open-ended puzzle environments controlled by gyroscope mechanics. The entire world is built around rewarding curiosity. Every mountain you see is climbable. Every mystery leads somewhere. And that's 20 of the best single-player games you can play right now on Nintendo Switch. Drop a comment with your favorite and subscribe if you want more. See you in the next one.